was I had to put everything together. And I created a lot of those poems using her sentence fragments. So there was a fragment here, a fragment there, and I put it together to make a poem. And I found 135 of them.
Holy mackerel.
And I could not believe it. And what happened also was then I tore the whole house apart. And I went through all of her papers. And that was it. However, I also found a box of her papers containing poetic dissertations on books and poetry that she had read throughout her lifetime. She never told me about that either. And she wrote, it's like poetry describing her feelings and telling the actual story of these books that she read. She wrote about Shakespeare, Samson and Delilah. She wrote about, that was John Milton, I'm sorry, Antony and Cleopatra, Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet. She wrote about John Milton. She wrote about F. Scott Fitzgerald, George Meredith, the poet. Who else? Yasunori Kawabata. She wrote all about these authors and their works, but she did it in a poetic style that is amazing.
Now, do you want to publish those?
Yes, I do.
Because as we were speaking before, I think you could have a wonderful lecture series from that.
Yes. I mean, they're amazing. I showed them to some people, and they cannot get over it. And I already titled the book. I titled it Silhouettes, Literary Passageways, because what it really is, it's a silhouette of these books or these poems, and they lead you into literature. And it's fascinating.
So the second book is
poetry.
Is a postscript.
Right.
To the first book. Is it published yet? No.
No, it's in the process.
How are you publishing?
Again, publishing it through Page Publishing.
Okay.
And because I worked so well with them the last time, they're so wonderful, and they understand me.
Are they small press?
Yes.
Okay.
And they're located in Staten Island. And they work wonderfully with me. Anything I want, they accommodate me with, and they're very easy to speak to, and they understand what the writer wants.
Now, do they charge a fee?
Yes, they do.
Okay. So it's like self-publishing.
Yes.
And yes, there are,
Well,
gradations of self-publishing.
It's self-publishing, really. That's what I would say.
But they're putting it, it's a company that puts it all together for you.
Yes,
Okay. So, and how about, how far is the work on Silhouettes?
Well, I finished the manuscript, and I'm going to wait with that because I want to get this other book out, and then I think I'll wait approximately 6 months, and then I'll bring that to the publisher also. But the second book...
Think about the lecture series.
I will. That's a very good idea.
And it's a good way to sell the books.
Yes. And I think the colleges always, I think the colleges would really appreciate this, and the students would.
Very likely.
Because a lot of times when you're assigned a book, it's like, oh, we have to read this book. But then with someone like myself speaking about it, it would make it so interesting that they would want to read the book, and they would want to investigate it. And that's what happened with myself really reading this, because I actually bought 2 of the books so that I could read them. She did a she did a poetic dissertation on A New Life by Bernard Malamud, and I went out and bought the book. It was fascinating. And then also I went out and bought the book by Yasunori Kawabata on A House of the Sleeping Beauties. That was fascinating. And I've learned a lot also through this.
I think as a writer, you always learn a lot in producing a book.
Yes.
Whether, from the writing, from the research, from the people you meet, the people you talk to, it is definitely a lifelong learning experience.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is.
And it's never ending.
You were also talking about a play.
Yes.
That's exciting.
Yes. Well, what I would like to do eventually, I wrote a screenplay about my parents' life, because I felt that it was very interesting. And I would like to submit that to I would like to find a producer or a screenwriter who would be interested in that. And I'm researching that at the moment. They had a very interesting life, aside from the fact that they met on the beach like that. They also had a very interesting episode in their life that I felt that was divine intervention. What happened is that after their periods together on the beach, as I had mentioned, World War II had started. And my mother went her way because she went to college, and my father went his way. He was trying to start a career, and he was also trying to avoid the Army because of the fact that he was the sole supporter of his mother. And they kept in contact, but not really. And what happened is that one night my mother was taking the subway home from Queens College, and she got out at a certain stop, and who did she meet on the subway platform? My father. He was standing there, and she walked right into him. And he was there because he was going into the city to return 2 tickets to the ballet that his mother was supposed to go with him too, but she had to work. So he was returning it because he had no one else to go with. So they embraced, and they couldn't get over this. And then he said, you know, I have these 2 tickets to the ballet. Would you like to go? And they went. And they knew at that moment that they were going to get married. And that's how they really, really solidified their relationship. And they never stopped talking about that incident throughout their entire lives. I mean, it was really, as I said.
Yeah, it's very.
They were
make a movie from.
Yes. And there are other incidents also that I just feel would be very interesting for a movie.
Well, you know, that's
yes.
The first step, I guess, is to get someone to work with to do a screenplay.
Yes.
And then, you know, there's a lot of local theater on Long Island.
Yes, I do know that.
So you might want to start there. I mean, you did say that you had somebody who was interested, but and you know, don't just stop on Long Island.
No.
But if worse comes to worse, there's all this local theater here.
Yeah, no, I want to. I absolutely do. But I wrote it because this person was interested, and they said to me, write the screenplay. So I wrote it. I didn't include everything, but just the mere fact that he had said to write it, I mean,
sure.
I couldn't get over that.
Yeah, what a compliment.
You know? Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's, you know, memoirs are very popular now.
Yes.
So it's kind of a memoir.
Yes.
But we have about a minute left. Do you have something else you would like to say, or some advice for our watchers?
Well, a lot of hard work goes into this.
Oh, yeah.
And you just can't give up. You just can't stop, because the road is long, it's arduous, but you get so much pleasure from it. You get so much satisfaction. And you just have to keep going. You have to persevere. And if this is your dream, you just can't give it up. And that's what I am doing. And I am never going to give up.
Yes, you know, and you have such a beautiful story. It's so wonderful that you could capitalize on your parents' love affair and produce these 2 books, 3 books.
Yes.
And I'll go to your lectures when you're doing your lecture series and your play.
Yes, okay.
Thank you so much, Pauli.
Thank you. Thank you. It was wonderful to be here. Yes.
Thank you.